First, we're elevating our trilateral defense collaboration to deliver an Indo-Pacific region that includes launching annual multi-domain military exercises, bringing our trilateral defense cooperation to an unprecedented levels. We're doubling down on information sharing, including on the DPRK's missile launches and cyber activities, strengthening our ballistic missile defense cooperation, and critically, we've all committed to swiftly consult with each other in response to threats to any one of our countries from whatever source it occurs. And together, we're going to stand up for international law, freedom of navigation, and the peaceful resolution of disputes in the South China Sea. Second, we're expanding our economic cooperation to build an Indo-Pacific that is peaceful and prosperous. Today, we've committed to launch a new, what we call a supply chain early warning system, a supply chain early warning system pilot. Welcome. Jump over this. All right. Here's some lunch. Okay.
Mr. President, what is this message to present to China?
Ready? Well, welcome everyone. Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. President, it's an honor to welcome you both here today to inaugurate the Camp David Trilateral between our three nations, among our three nations. It's not only the first summit I've hosted at Camp David, it's the first ever standalone summit between the leaders of Japan and Republic of Korea and the United States. And I can think of no better way to mark our new chapter of our trilateral cooperation than meeting here at Camp David. And so strengthening the ties between our democracies has long been a priority for me, dating back to when I was Vice President of the United States. That's because our countries are stronger and the world is safer. Let me say that again. Our countries are stronger and the world will be safer as we stand together. And I know this is a belief we all three share. And I want to thank you both for your political courage that brought you here. And I'm looking forward to us having a great meeting, but continuing these meetings. You stepped up to do the hard work, I would argue historic work, to forge a foundation from which we can face the future together, the three of us together. And I'm deeply grateful for your leadership, and I look forward to working with both of you as we begin this new era of cooperation and renew our resolve to serve as a force of good across the Indo-Pacific and, quite frankly, around the world as well. And you've heard me say it before, the Republic of Korea and Japan are capable and indispensable allies, now to the purpose of why we're here. America's commitment to both countries is ironclad, and my personal commitment to bringing these three nations together was real from the very beginning. Since last summer, we've met on the margins of the NATO summit in Spain, the ASEAN summit in Cambodia, and the G7 summit in Japan. Today, we've made history with the first ever standalone summit between the leaders of our three countries, as well as our commitment to meet together on the leader level annually and to have all our relative cabinet member people meet on a regular basis from this point on. Not just this year, not next year, forever. That's the intention. And so I want to recognize the important work that both of you have done and the political courage, and I mean this sincerely, the political courage that you both demonstrated to resolve difficult issues that have stood in the way for a long time of a close relationship between Japan and Korea and with the United States. Your leadership, with the full support of the United States, has brought us here because each of you understands that our world stands at an inflection point, a point where we're called to lead in new ways, to work together, to stand together. And today I'm proud to say our nations are answering that call. First, we're elevating our trilateral defense collaboration to deliver an Indo-Pacific region that includes launching annual multi-domain military exercises, bringing our trilateral defense cooperation to an unprecedented levels. We're doubling down on information sharing, including on the DPRK's missile launches and cyber activities, strengthening our ballistic missile defense cooperation, and critically, we've all committed to swiftly consult with each other in response to threats to any one of our countries from whatever source it occurs. That means we'll have a hotline to share information and coordinate our responses whenever there is a crisis in the region or affecting any one of our countries. And today, we've all reaffirmed our shared commitment to maintaining peace and stability in the Taiwan Straits and addressing economic coercion. We're going to continue to counter threats from the DPRK, including cryptocurrency money laundering to the tune of billions of dollars, potential arms transfer in support of Russia's brutal war against Ukraine. And together, we're going to stand up for international law, freedom of navigation, and the peaceful resolution of disputes in the South China Sea. Second, we're expanding our economic cooperation to build an Indo-Pacific that is peaceful and prosperous. Today, we've committed to launch a new, what we call a supply chain early warning system, a supply chain early warning system pilot, and which will alert our nations to disruptions of certain products and materials like critical minerals or batteries, so we can get ahead of the issues as they appear with the experience that we've experienced during the pandemic. Excuse me, this is falling off. There you go. And building on the G7-led Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment, we're deepening cooperation between our development finance institutions to mobilize more financing for quality infrastructure and secure communications technology to help low-income and middle-income countries throughout the region take on the challenges that matter most to their people. And finally, our partnership is about building a better future for our people. That's why we're deepening our cooperation on global health and launching a trilateral expert exchange in support of the U.S. Cancer Moonshot Initiative. That's going to, I believe, change cancer as we know it. It matters a great deal to me and to families all across our 3 countries. In the United States, we are revolutionizing the way we do cancer research, and together, the 3 of us, I'm confident we can harness our shared spirit of innovation and end cancer as we know it. We're also launching a new collaboration between our national laboratories and advance our science knowledge and technological capabilities together. As we do, we'll work in lockstep to set the standards for safe, secure, and trustworthy emerging technology, including artificial intelligence, which a lot of work has to be done on. Let me close with this. Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, this is the first summit I've hosted at Camp David as President. I can think of no more fitting location to begin our next era of cooperation, a place that has long symbolized the power of new beginnings and new possibilities. In the months and years ahead, we're going to continue to seize those possibilities together, unwavering in our unity and unmatched in our resolve. This is not about a day, a week, or a month. This is about decades and decades of relationships that we're building. Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. President, I want to thank you for your leadership, and I say it again, for your courage that brought us together. And I look forward to working with both of you ahead. Now I will yield to, who am I yielding to?
For the first time ever, instead of in the sidelines of multilateral conferences, we have held the Trilateral Summit on a standalone basis. Here at Camp David, numerous historical meetings have taken place, and it is a huge honor to have printed a fresh page in its history with this meeting. The foundation of the trilateral collaboration are the solid, firm bilateral relationships. The three of us have understood this more than anyone else and have executed our understanding in practice. In January this year, I visited the United States, and later President Yoon visited Japan in March, and then to the US in April. And in May, I myself traveled to South Korea, and we have bolstered our mutual relationship. At the moment, the free and open international order based on the rule of law is in crisis. Due to Russia's aggression of Ukraine, the international order is shaken from its foundation. The unilateral attempts to change the status quo by force in the East and South China Seas are continuing, and the nuclear and missile threats of North Korea is only becoming ever larger. Under such circumstances, to make our trilateral strategic collaboration blossom and bloom is only logical and almost inevitable, and is required in this era. The three of us here today declare our determination to pioneer the new era of Japan-US ROK partnership. How we will advance the cooperation of our three countries going forward, I will discuss from three perspectives. Firstly, the coordination between the Japan-US and the US-ROK alliances will be reinforced, and trilateral security cooperation will be brought to a new height. At this meeting, we agreed to hold the Japan-US-ROK multi-domain joint exercises on an annual basis. Furthermore, regarding the real-time sharing of North Korea's missile warning information that we agreed last November, the initial steps have been implemented, and an important first step has been advanced towards the launch of the mechanism by the end of the year. We also agreed on the establishment of the working group on North Korea's cyber activities considered to be the source of finance for nuclear and missile development, and on other matters.
The second point is the promotion of cooperation between the United States, Japan, and South Korea, and the expansion of their areas of cooperation. Regarding the response to North Korea, in addition to strengthening regional deterrence and response capabilities, the three countries agreed to strengthen cooperation for the full implementation of sanctions and to work closely together in the UN Security Council, where all three countries will be members in 2024.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question for each of the leaders. It'll be brief but related. President Biden, first for you, how confident should Asia be about a robust American commitment to a nuclear umbrella when the commander-in-chief who preceded you and is looking to succeed you spoke openly about reducing the U.S. footprint in the Korean Peninsula? President Yoon, how much confidence can Japan and the U.S. have about Seoul's long-term commitment to rapprochement when polls show the solid majority of Korea disapproves of your handling and mending of the forced labor issue? And Prime Minister Kishida, what assurances can you give to your country's citizens who fear bolstering your security cooperation in this matter could lead to the country into an economic Cold War with China? And if you'll indulge me, Mr. President, on a domestic matter, what is your reaction to the special counsel appointment last week into your son? Thank you.
Well, first of all, look, there's not much, if anything, I agree on with my predecessor on foreign policy. His America First policy, walking away from the rest of the world, has made us weaker, not stronger. America's strong with our allies and our alliances, and that's why we will endure. And it's a strength that, quite frankly, increases all three of our strengths. This is just about one summit. What makes today different is it actually launching a series of initiatives that are actually institutional changes in how we deal with one another. And security cooperation, economic cooperation, technology cooperation, development cooperation, consultation exercises, and all of this will create our own momentum, I believe, year by year, month by month, to make the relationship stronger and more certain to remain, to be in place. And with regard on these results, I think are going to keep it going, and I think are going to benefit all our countries. And with regard to the second question, I have no comment on any investigation that's going on. That's up to the Justice Department, and that's all I have to say.
제게 하신 질문에 대해서는
To the question that was directed to me, I would like to say that the treaty made between Korea and Japan that was made in 1965 and the following measures by the government and the Supreme Court's ruling in 2015 has some differences, but we have already implemented measures to bridge the gaps among them. And in South Korea, of course, there is public opinion that is opposed to the government's measures like that. However, from a perspective that's forward-looking, strengthening ties and improving relationship between Korea and Japan are important, and there is a shared understanding that this matters to our bilateral relationship as well as our future, and this is something we need to continue working on.
Thank you for the question. First of all, at today's meeting, the rules-based international order and activities inconsistent to such rule-based international order and activities, the concerns have been shared, and the rule-based free and open international order must be defended. And going forward, U.S.-Japan ROK strategic collaboration will be reinforced even further. Such endeavors will continue going forward. Our country and for the surrounding countries, the response capabilities as well as defense capabilities will be bolstered, and by doing so, the lives and livelihood of our population will be protected, and the sense of assurance must be raised. These are the important activities. Having said that, with regard to China, last year in November, there was the Japan-China Leaders Summit, and there was a positive momentum. By maintaining the positive momentum, what has to be asserted will be asserted, and we shall strongly request responsible conduct. And we will continue and accumulate a conversation about multiple issues. We will cooperate with regard to common challenges. Such constructive and stable relationship will be established by mutual effort. That is my administration's consistent policy. Based on this perception towards regional stability, our efforts will continue. Thank you.
President Yoon, next question, please.